So guys, I'm gonna talk about and watch a good YouTube video from Game with Dave. He talks about the situation of the Stalker 2 devs and then the Misery. There's a game called Misery. I even have like a couple videos about it, and I thought it was a pretty cool concept. It's like some kind of a game which is repo or lethal company type, but you play as a stalker from Stalker games. And the vibe was pretty cool, and then the gameplay was pretty interesting. That's why I hopped into it, and the demo was like not bad. The start of the game is literally exactly same as 60 seconds. Do you guys know that game, 60 seconds? You grab like materials at the start while it gives you 60 seconds, and then after that you start with those gears. And then after that, you kind of start off like Repo or Lethal Company. You go out and gather resources while fighting off the environment or the enemies. And then level up your hideout, repeat, get better gear, investigate more like harsh environments with better gears, repeat. It's that kind of a gameplay. But for some reason, Stalker 2 copyright striked the Misery game. But after that, whenever I first heard it, I thought it was like, oh, Stalker 2 devs are using their power to suppress the indie devs. But the more and more I look into it, I don't like both of the indie devs from Misery, and then the Stalker 2 devs are using too much power to abuse the power. This whole situation with Misery and Stalker 2 could be compared to Escape from Tarkov and Escape from Duckov. As you guys might all know, Escape from Duckov is like great homage of Escape from Tarkov, even though it sounds like complete rip-off game version of Escape from Tarkov from the name of it. But a lot of things, they innovated themselves into a top-down extraction shooter game, and it's really well optimized. A lot of content. It's a really good game. I've been covering it a lot, and especially it's really good moddable game too. But anyways, what I want to talk about is Escape from Tarkov. The Nikita, the developer, has been pretty cool with it. I'm kind of guessing Escape from Duckov actually asked Nikita or BSG team to like, can we make this game first? Because they've been giving props to the Escape from Duckov from a while ago. Escape from Tarkov even posted a short video about Escape from Duckov. That one was really cool too. And after that, whenever Escape from Duckov started to get a bunch of likes and the support, now they are hitting 3 million as far as I remember. Really good game. You guys should definitely check it out. 3 million copies. I don't think Escape from Tarkov is gonna reach this much personally, because a lot of people already bought the game by now already, and people are gonna hop on Steam through maybe 1 million. And anyways, Nikita has been giving props to them and then saying, congrats guys, dogs are cool. This is like such a contrast between the situation with Misery and Stalker 2. I just quickly wanted to mention that. Let's see.
Misery, a small indie co-op survival game on Steam, was suddenly delisted after a DMCA takedown from GSC Game World, the Ukrainian studio behind Stalker. Valve removed the Steam page, which is standard when a DMCA is filed. According to Misery devs, GSC's claim accused them of copying asset elements from Stalker. They say the notice cited visual likeness and even fan reviews comparing the two games. But GSC hasn't made a public statement yet. Everything we know is secondhand via the Misery team's post and community. Community screenshots and discussions suggest that GSC might be targeting environmental design, including the brutalist Chernobyl-style buildings, and even a track that sounds identical.
I didn't know this song was literally this song. I didn't know that.
From the Stalker soundtrack. Others argue that these elements originate from the real-world Soviet architecture and public domain references, rather than anything that GSC owns directly. So far, there's no hard evidence of stolen assets, just speculation based on similar textures and map layouts.
It does look really
Already,
similar for sure.
Exploded. Thousands of comments are split between two camps. Pro-Misery players say GSC is punching down on a solo developer, while Starcraft, Chernobylite, Into the Radius, and more, all Stalker-inspired, remain untouched. There are numerous Stalker-inspired games that you might not have come across. Also, on a more humorous note, for now, GSC is not removing Roblox games which clearly use stolen assets.
Yeah.
On top of that, make you pay €120 or $138 for a game pass to roleplay as a pseudo giant or chimera, Burra, or a Mi-8 helicopter. Pro-GSC voices point to the screenshots that show the same mutants, factions, and environmental design as Stalker. Others argue that if GSC filed, something serious must have been copied. GSC has tolerated fan projects for years without DMCA abuse. Here's where it gets messy. Some Redditors and YouTubers claim that the Misery developer parts of the community have expressed pro-Russia or anti-Ukraine sentiments, including posts from the Discord showing Zed and the like PNC memes. Some are saying GSC might have reacted faster because of this association, not just the IP infringement, given GSC's strong pro-Ukraine stance and history of removing Soviet or Russian symbolism from Stalker 2. Meanwhile, defenders of the dev argue even if the dev's politics are awful, that doesn't justify a fraudulent DMCA. Others counter that GSC donated to Ukraine and wanted to avoid their brand being tied to Russian imagery makes sense. In short, politics may have amplified a copyright dispute. From people's reactions to the situation, after DMC hit, Misery's Discord server melted down. Reports say moderators locked chats for hours after people spamming slurs, Z symbols, and grooming allegations appeared without moderation. The developer later issued an apology on Telegram stating that he'd removed offensive Easter eggs, moderate better, and stop harassing GSC, but said that the DMCA is unfair. He also said he'll cut some content and appeal the claim so the game can return to Steam. If the developer's files a counter notice, Valve must wait about 10 business days, and either GSC files a lawsuit or Valve restores the game. No court action follows. We may know within 2 weeks whether Misery comes back or stays down. This whole situation blurs multiple lines: inspiration versus infringement, corporate protection versus indie creativity, political ethics versus artistic freedom. Right now, no one outside of GSC and Valve has seen the actual DMCA packet, so most of the evidence is screenshots and speculation. It's best to wait for the outcome of the counter notice and avoid feeling harassment toward either party. If the claims were about music or copied environments, that's easy to fix. If it's political, that's a much uglier story. Either way, they may end up like Nintendo versus Palworld, a genre-inspired clone that forces everyone to re-ask, when does homage cross into theft? And when does the defense of the IP become censorship? Valve Steam notified the Misery dev that GSC Game World filed a DMCA. The screenshots show the standard Steam template. We received a DMCA notice. Will temporarily remove your game. You can file a counter notice. It includes 2 example images and a full legal section on how to counter. According to the notice text, GSC alleges unauthorized use of Stalker content. They cite plot, scenes, design, artwork, scenarios, branding, and essentially the broad creativity elements of the franchise. The email doubles down saying the images shown are examples and do not encompass all the infringing content. In the attached language, GSC lists the Stalker trilogy and points to Steam store pages for the enhanced edition releases as the original works. The 2 example comparisons focus on environment and promotional materials, foggy Pripyat-style cityscapes, and campfire guitar scenes placed next to Misery store visuals. Outside the email, players have surfaced a few points varying in certainty. An unused helicopter model reportedly in the Misery files said to be left over and not used in-game. A gate model, some...
Wait, give me a second, what? The dev came on his server and then said he removed the helicopter, 2 Stalker songs and Stalker 2 gates. Yeah, there was literally Stalker songs in it too, actually. The helicopter is exactly the same, it was? Okay, I guess they removed it.
Uncertainty. An unused helicopter model reportedly in the Misery files said to be left over and not used in-game. A gate model some claim was too close to Stalker assets. Others argue it's a homage of recreation. However, some areas have now been removed due to the DMCA, and the Discord server has been locked down to remove any comments that could be perceived as offensive. People noticed tracks like Dirge for the Planet, but the band Fire Lake holds those rights, not GSC, so that will be a separate from GSC's claim. These are community claims, not part of the public email. Some are disputed. Viewers question the screenshots, messy layouts, and cropping. Important context: this appears to be Valve's DMCA template plus GSC's statement, and only portions have been shown publicly.
Yeah, Yeah, I don't
email
like that
itself
part too.
states it's not the full set of evidence.
Nope.
Copyright protects certain expression art, models, text, music, not general ideas like Soviet high-rises or a guy with a guitar by a fire. If Misery reused protected assets or substantially similar protected artwork, the DMCA can stick. If it's only general vibes, that's shakier. The dev can file a DMCA counter notice. If they do, Valve typically restores the game unless GSC files a lawsuit within the legal window. Behind the scenes, both sides can also settle by removing or replacing flagged material. Bottom line, the public email shows a takedown and sample comparisons, plus the dev seems confident they will win with this roadmap on screen. Until we see either a counter notice or lawsuit, expect claims, denials, and potentially quiet asset changes. If you missed the updates from yesterday,
After seeing this, I feel more like the Misery devs are trying to hide something. Like, I'll show you guys why I'm saying it. That's why after I watched this, and then I thought about it again, what I experienced about the game. The game is pretty cool concept, but I felt a little bit too much chore in the game, so I didn't like it, so I just stopped playing. I bought the game, I stopped playing after like 10 hours or something, and I already played too much too much demo. I thought he would have added like so much content, but there's not too much content after the demo, just unlike Duckov. Duckov had so much content on demo, but after the demo there was so much more content, but this game wasn't like that. So I stopped playing. I thought these guys were pretty immature. Let's say immature. Yeah, they're pretty immature. I know you can have like whatever the vibes you want or something like that, but it is kind of weird on official developers, devs saying, like posting those kind of stuffs. With that vibe, I was like, okay, this is a bit weird. But apparently, whenever the DMCA strike happened, the developer guy was like really reacting like weirdly. From here, this was the original message. He said, effing GSKA world sent us strike for weird shite. Just look at the claims of those artars. Like, you don't start off it like that. And also the things you guys watch in the video, the guy was like kind of supporting, like, you know, pretty bad things against Ukrainians. That's why he got backlashed enough, and he started to talk about in a more polite way, which kind of feels like a ChatGPT thing. I read the whole thing earlier. And yeah, and then he said back in 2022, he was like 16 years old, he's saying, so he must be like 19 to 20 years old. Yeah, I'm not saying every under 20-year-old people will be immature, but like, yeah, that's what I kind of felt like. But I'm not saying what GSC is doing, what Stalker 2 is doing is amazing. They are shitty too. I don't like it how they're doing it. I think this is happening because of the Pal World versus Pokemon. There's a bad preceding event that occurred already, so Stalker 2 had the same idea of using that kind of situation into suppressing some indie devs, which indie devs were pretty acting immature in my opinion overall. Like, and it's not a good way to deal with the situation for sure. But yeah, I don't like both of them, the Misery devs or the Stalker devs. I don't like both of them. Like, another thing is that, like, this guy is not showing everything. That's the problem. He's not showing everything, which means he might be nitpicking the only ones that shows ridiculous, and then there's like really serious ones hidden behind, and he's just not showing it to gain the, you know, majority of the crowd to agree with him that GSC Stalker 2 devs are acting like cringe, which is like usually immature brains thoughts. You know, to hide secrets in the behind and act like he's righteous or something like that. I keep getting that vibe. I'm sorry, but I keep getting that vibe. Which doesn't mean what Stalker 2 devs are doing is perfectly good and nice. I'm not saying that. I'm not 100% sure though. I think there's like a lot more behind this, a lot more. But he's just not showing it, only showing the ridiculous part, acting like Stalker 2 devs are just copyright striking because of the similar screen, similar Steam page. Which must be one of the most trivial stuff that Stalker 2 devs copyright striked, in my opinion. Anyways, guys, that was what I could share. Thank you guys for watching. What do you guys think about the situation? Do tell me in the comments. And also, do check me out on live stream if you want to check me out on Twitch and YouTube and Kickstream. Leave a like if you like these kind of contents. And I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye, guys. Bye-bye.